Hello and welcome to the 82nd episode of the Gochuucast. And today we have a very special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, hello. I am Brendan Talks, and I am also an AnyTube channel, and I make video essays on anime that I've watched. Cool stuff.
All right, take the force bet. All yours.
Oh, well,
All
I
yours.
was going to say,
you volunteered. Come on.
I did volunteer, but before I get into that, I have to ask you some basic questions. Go ahead.
What's going on?
Oh, I was just going to ask you some questions about yourself,
Yeah,
to
sure.
introduce yourself. Yeah. What are your, let's say, top 3 favorite anime?
Top 3. Okay,
Top
I'd
3.
probably say Steins Gate, Konosuba, and Toradora. Those are probably my top 3.
Steins Gate.
That's a range. That I like that.
It is
That is
range.
a range.
I love that.
It's because I'm not the type of person who like sticks to a particular like genre demographic. It's just the things that I like, things that resonate with me, things that I thought, wow, that was a really well executed, good show. So yeah.
Watch any, I gotta get feelers out. Do you watch any sports anime?
I actually haven't.
Okay.
Out of all the genres that I've watched, I think sports is the one I might have watched the least. For no
Do you
reason in
like-
particular.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you like sports in general?
So with it. Like I don't particularly like dislike it, and I have played some sports like table tennis or tennis and like soccer and stuff. But like aside from that, I don't have a strong interest in either. So yeah.
Okay. I'm a big sports anime guy. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
anytime I can put potential feelers out there, I will. But also, if you need any, let me know.
PK
I was
got me
just
to
about
watch.
to ask, what do you think is the best one to recommend for someone like me who's like hasn't seen any?
So Haikyuu is like the most gateway of sports anime I would recommend to someone. But Awashi came out, was that 2 years ago now?
I don't think so.
No, it was 2022. It was last year.
Yeah.
Soccer/football anime that came out. The manga is one of my favorite mangas I've ever read, and the anime was done very well. So those
what was
two,
it called?
Awashi.
Again?
I can link it
Awashi.
also.
I can link it.
Yeah, you can link it. Yeah, sure.
There's a few others. I mean, I hate talking about Kuroko sometimes. But Kuroko has some very good things in it. It's just a little bit. With Blue Lock existing now, I feel like Blue Lock's just kind of the better superpower sports.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Blue. Actually, I was considering watching that when it was like a lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah.
I never
Blue
did
Lock
though.
has really
but...
good. Blue Lock has really good characters. It's just what they play in Blue Lock is very I don't know if I would really call it football, soccer at all.
Well, yeah, it's more of like a fantastical version of it that would never happen in real life, right?
Yes,
Pretty much.
exactly.
It would be cool if it happened in real life.
I mean, I'd say it's like you could probably tell just from the visuals alone and stuff. It's like, oh man, nobody yeah, it's very exaggerated and stuff. That's like
It's like a
totally
battle
different
shonen
rules
with sports.
Yeah.
And then another, people debate a lot if this is really a sports series, but if you want something that kind of has like that sports feel to it, but has some other like characterizations and stuff, Chihaya Furu.
Oh yeah, Chihaya. Funnily enough, I've actually watched a few episodes of that.
Okay, fair enough.
Like 8 episodes into Chihaya Furu.
That one's really good. There's debate on whether you call it a sport. I think I would, but a lot of people wouldn't, and I'm like, that's fair.
That is yeah, a good. It's like because it's a tabletop game, right? But it's like
the way that they train and it's formatted is
very much reminiscent of a sports anime.
It's similar to how I joke that like the Love Live series is a sports anime.
Or like how Doctor
Okay,
Stone is an anime
because
or
the
isekai? Yeah.
yes, Doctor Stone is an isekai, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I will say I was a sports anime version, and I watched the first season of Haikyuu, and it was pretty good. I liked it, so that's
What's that?
Haikyuu's
yeah.
great.
Yep.
Haikyuu is probably the easiest sports anime for like someone that's never experienced the genre to come into because it does all of the things that you would expect in the genre really well.
Yep.
But
I like
also,
the
okay,
characters.
wait. One thing that I did want, it's like I am not. I've kind of like not. I've kind of grown bored of shonen. Like I don't watch most battle shonen
Daniel can tell you a lot about that.
series
Based.
anymore. but because I always got the impression that Haikyuu was like this basic shonen and stuff, which is why I never really watched it, because the time I would have been interested in it has kind of already passed. Um but I don't know for sure because like again I haven't watched it, so
It's I mean, I would say that like a lot of the sports genre obviously kind of veers towards that like battle shonen feel anyway, but to me, like the series that I just recommended, all three of them are what I consider to be like character driven within the sports genre,
mm,
whereas like a Kuroko's or a Blue Lock, those are what I think of as like the battle shonen side of that because they're
okay.
going at each other with powers and like 90% of what's happening in those series is going to be in games with high shonen type stakes and stuff like that. Whereas
Yeah.
in something like Haikyuu or an Awashi, it's like a lot of the story and character development is not in the middle of games.
Mm.
Haikyuu is kind of like a nice in between to me, because it does have a lot of game content, and it's I wouldn't call it battle shonen but like
Like it's
they get
it's very character driven.
yeah
There's a lot of stuff going on like in regards to the character drama and stuff like
exactly
that.
like the
Yeah.
games are important. Like so in
Mm.
that sense, like the
Like
quote
it has a
battles
balance.
happen. Yes, exactly. Whereas in like Chihayafuru obviously is like super character driven, and then Karuta is kind of just like the vessel that
Mm.
is driving those characters. But it's not like every episode is super dramatic Karuta battle, and they're like doing all of the battle shonen stuff where they're powering up and things like that.
Yeah. Mm.
This is why I watch like slow loop and shit like that because it's all the sport without any of the drama.
Another one that is very good that is less to the like that competition or like battle shonen angle is Run with the Wind. I can link that
Run
too.
with Wind. What was that? What's that about? I think I've heard of that before at some point.
So this is about I believe it's university track. Yeah, it is university track club, and essentially the main character is this um, former like ace runner in high school who eventually, for reasons, stopped running and then went into college. Kind of got mixed up with this group of the college runners, and then ends up, getting back into it. And there's
Oh, okay.
only a few like the way that sports like um track and running and stuff like that work is there's only a few competitions a year. If I remember right, there's really not a lot of actual um like competitive
Hmm.
content in this. It's almost entirely like meeting the characters and getting to like kind of build their relations to each other as like this goal towards like
Yeah,
creating
is it not like
right.
about just the competition like every episode or anything? It's more like there's a lot of it only happens here and there
Yeah,
because of the nature of that.
yeah. If
Yeah,
anything, it's
cool.
more about taking this group of random, like slightly related people and turning them into a real like unit.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's just it's based on the story and characters more than anything, which I can assume for like happens with a lot of sports anime, um, and Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of
feel like-
it's kind of reminding me of the entire. Oh, this mecha anime isn't actually about the mecha fights, but the
Yeah.
characters. It's like, oh my
I'm
god.
not gonna say it's not similar because it is kind of similar. Um, but it's also like I don't know. There's a variety, but at the same time, it's always gonna come
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
to sports in some way too.
Yeah, it's like the genre. It's the main like vessel, as you said, of what's driving the plot. And then yeah, it's up to the show whether or not how much it wants to utilize its characters, how much it wants to flesh them out, how much it wants to focus on them. Yeah, I might check out some of them.
Well, you said you've already started GI Furu, which is
Yeah.
an interesting one. I like GI Furu quite a bit, but it's
Chihaya
also
Furu was my first sports anime.
That's how I felt with technically Grand Blue is my first sports anime if we're gonna go based on
we
tags.
Grand Blue does not.
Oh, Grand Blue.
mean,
Is
not-
wait,
They
what was
dive
Grand Blue
for-
about again?
Well,
Oh,
it's
drinking.
diving
Oh, yeah,
in
okay.
quotations, but it's actually
Drink.
about
Drinking
I
is
was
sport,
actually I was actually interested in watching Grand Blue, but that was more so that was more so for the comedy aspect and not so much the sports.
Don't worry, it's written
not-
for the comedy aspect, not the
Yeah.
sports aspect.
It's
It's
There's like literally one episode of dive in, and the rest is just drinking.
That counts, bro.
not.
it's a funny one to be included in these conversations because it's also like they don't dive in Grand Blue Dreaming as a sport, right?
Yeah.
Like there's zero.
It's just kind of
competition.
there. It's just a
Diving
background
is like
detail.
their hobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're interested in that for the comedy, it is pretty funny. At least
Yeah.
in my opinion. There's a few cringe jokes in it, but it goes over
I've-
the top. So
I've
you
seen
expect it.
cringe jokes. This just what I've come to expect from anime at this point. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't wait for my last sports anime to be Medalist because they're gonna fuck up the manga, and then I'm never gonna trust a sports anime ever again.
Metal is still. I think the era where Medalist is airing is going to be fun on
Medalist.
this podcast.
Yeah, Medalist. It's
Let me search that one up. Is that a what's that one about?
it's a manga. It's about figure skating.
Oh, okay.
So like,
Figure
this one
skating.
there.
Mm.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about figure skating, but it doesn't matter because this shit slaps hard. Like, I actually just became one of my favorite manga very quickly after starting to read it.
Oh,
The
wow.
It
art
was like
is
great.
phenomenal, like top tier art. The characters are great. I mean, it's very difficult to put into words how good it is. However, tragically, the studio that is doing it is known as a graveyard for anime. So,
Oh no, which studio was it?
so Studio Engi, if
Get
you've watched anything from them.
angry.
Oh.
They've done
So
such-
basically there's no hope that you can expect it to be amazing. I mean
There's
there's a
absolutely no
chance,
hope.
but
they've done such bangers such as Isekai Smartphone.
Yep.
oh,
Banger.
that's just
Banger is one way to put
instantly
it.
Uzaki-chan.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's
They did management of a novice alchemist.
such bangers such as
Banger
Isekai
is one-
Smartphone. Yeah, no. I don't know. You know, Novice Alchemist had like one or two scenes that would randomly go hard. You never know. I doubt that the same team is doing what's it called, Medalist, but hopefully they just like found an.
I'm just looking through some of the stuff they've done now. Okay, so they've done Uzaki-chan, they've done
Okay.
Yep. That. Yep. Exactly.
oh
Yeah.
man.
That's
Yeah,
it.
They did.
There's not
They did. They did a
There-
game
there's that-
which
there's-
was Mob Psycho actually destroyed online after one episode because everyone's just like, "Ew, why is it drawn like this?"
Oh, yeah, and then there's the one that was I think airing this season. This is our
Kimura.
dating story, the experienced you and the inexperienced me.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of that online and it looks it just looked terrible. I did The
So Kimi
do you
Zero,
have any?
I do watch it.
I was
Kimi
gonna say,
Zero
wait a minute.
has been very cute. I
Wait,
cannot say anything else for it, but it has been cute. I can't really, in good conscience, say it's been good or like
Kimi's
anything unique.
wait, that's the
That's
you're
our
talking about
dating
the same
story.
one?
Yeah.
The shorthand is
Yeah,
Kimi
okay.
Zero.
Yeah. It
All I
looks
can say it's
about
been
the most very generic rom-com ever. Like they just ticked off all the boxes of what I'd
yeah,
expect from shy MC, uh, girl
really
who's
base
like
cute girl.
extreme, who's about as idealistically perfect as you can get. Like he
Yep.
asks her out, and he's just this random loser dude who has no charisma whatsoever. And she's just like, "Yeah, sure. In fact, yeah, I'll totally want to date you." And it just seems like, it just seems like wish fulfillment. Like it seems exactly like that type of show. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I would agree with those points, and I still watch it and think it's cute.
okay.
But it's not good. It
It's
as like an objective take. It's just it
It's
is
a
a
train
show that
wreck that you love
exists
to watch.
that I
basically it's the type of
enjoy.
thing that you a guilty pleasure. You'd watch it
Yeah.
thinking,
Seems good.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
trash, but
I think I've
my
also
trash.
heard. I think I've also heard that they've kind of fucked around with the pacing of it, also, which is a classic Enki,
Common
but
NGL.
very common Enki.
Yeah. Well, everything else on the list I don't recognize at all.
I've seen Uzaki-chan. That's it.
Yeah,
I watched it with
haven't even
friends,
seen
so
that.
I can't say anything about whether it's good or bad. It was enjoyable to watch with friends. That's about it. That's all. That's
On
all.
the bright side, the poster for Medalist doesn't look too awful, but like
Yeah,
at
I've
the
been
same time, considering their track record. But then again, like haven't there been times when there'd be a studio and it's like, and they've only made like some really mid stuff, and they unexpectedly made something good? That's
Yeah,
happened before, right?
I've been fooled before too, so I'm not putting a lot of faith
Yeah,
into
it's
the
just
poster.
the
dream here.
expectations, I guess. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was big on the Angel Next Door before that came out, and then I was let down. So
Oh yeah.
it's just a wait and see thing. You never know if they're gonna fuck it up or not. The answer is
Yeah.
probably. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm actually dooming,
I mean,
so whenever it
yeah.
gets worse than I could have ever wanted.
It's like just keep your expectations low and they can't be disappointed unless it's
Well, they
somehow
can be.
worse.
You never know.
they'll
They
find a
can
way.
still be disappointed, but let's just like I expected nothing, but I still am let down.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, I was gonna ask. I never got around to asking it because you're talking about the sports
mm.
anime, and it like left my head. Now it came
Listen,
back.
I had to shoot my shot. I
No,
don't think there's
It's
any
fair.
time.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So you had your top three. I the reason I didn't ask number one is because when I ask what's your favorite, a lot of people say like, "Oh, I can't pick a favorite." But can you pick a favorite out of the three that you named?
Oh man,
It was
it really
Steins
just
Gate.
depends on my mood.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd say that Steins
I
Gate
asked
is
for
the
top three, but yeah,
objectively.
because
I'd say that
Steins Gate is my
Steins.
personal favorite. So yeah.
Yes, when
Oh, that's
generally
fair.
whenever someone asks, I do say Steins Gate. That's
Mhm.
like my
Yeah.
favorite anime. Um, it also like somewhat depends on my mood though. Sometimes I might pick yeah. There was a period of time where I was just hyper fixated with Konosuba and read the entirety of the visual no, not visual novel, the light novels.
Mhm.
So technically I have invested a lot more time into that. But yeah, I generally choose Steins Gate as my favorite
Gotcha.
anime.
Konosuba's a. I know a lot of people like that show, but yeah, I've
A lot
only
of
seen it.
people
Like I
don't
said.
it's a very a lot of people also like I know it's not a show for everyone, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just that type of show that really that I really personally enjoyed on a personal
Mhm.
level. And a lot
Gotcha.
of that has to do with like the character interactions and the type of friendship that they have. It just really like was something that I really personally enjoyed. Like it was just the way it was done was it's done in a very unique way that I don't see that often in a lot of anime, and how that's developed and fleshed out in the light novels as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
Gotcha.
for me, most of the reason why I have really soured on Konosuba over the last few years is I really just don't like Megumi all that much.
Yo,
Um,
what?
and
She's the best part.
she is
It's a
no,
good
no, no.
reaction.
This is the point, right? She is everywhere, especially with the last few things they've done. And I'm always just kind
Okay,
of
to
like,
be fair, I thought that the newest
the little
The spin-off.
spin-off.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
spin-off anime that was pretty mid. I didn't actually end up finishing it. I did read the light novels for that before it got made into an anime, so I already knew everything that was going to happen, and it seems like it, the comedy just didn't hit as well. Like it wasn't, there was a lot of jokes I remember reading thinking that they were hilarious, and either just wasn't present in the anime or they did it in a way that
Didn't
just
translate it well, basically.
they didn't
To
translate it well. And
from
this is actually something that I've noticed happens a lot in anime adaptations, because like I'd see people people talk about, you know, how anime like has a comedy problem and stuff, and like how like a lot of them just suck at comedy, which is something that, like, you know, I do like find happens a lot. Um, but then I think what is happening is that in the original source material it was based on, it was actually pretty funny, but whoever was directing it or the way they translated it into the anime, comedy is a very like tricky thing to get right with the timing and stuff, to make sure they say it in the right way, that it's done in that really snappy kind of way, in the way that just makes it well timed comedic delivery, and it just doesn't. It just kind of moves it from one medium to the other, and it falls flat because they didn't know. It might have been like they might have waited too long. They said it weird. Whatever it was, it just didn't hit the same. And I've noticed this a lot when reading the manga and comparing it to how the anime adapted it when it comes to the comedy. Um, so yeah, I think that's, yeah, that happens a
makes
Which
lot.
that's also an issue for like all media in even its own native languages, without even having to deal with the fact that we are English speakers who are, you know,
Yeah.
looking at subtitles and then having to also get the joke. But even
Mm,
just like English shows doing their comedy bits in English still struggle with the issue of like timing and really selling those jokes in a
yeah,
way.
exactly. And I think yeah, I know this does apply to other genres as well and stuff, but I think comedy especially is one of the trickiest to get right. And that's
Yes.
because like so much of it is very dependent on making sure you said it in the exact right way, or it's timed in the exact right way where you think that's funny. But if you get like it just like that slightly bit wrong, then it
It's
becomes
dead.
awkward instead.
Yep.
It's dead.
It's
It's just you've
sometimes the
ruined the
joke
joke.
has to be worded in a specific way and has to have yeah. I see what you mean.
Exactly. And like that's why like there's always like, it's always refreshing whenever I see something like Bochi the Rock or something like that, and then I go, oh, this it actually feels like the director behind it has a
Mhm.
good sense of comedy. Like they actually went into this
Right.
and with the editing or whatever it was, and made sure that it was timed right. Like that they just have that good sense of what makes it funny, and after actually going back and checking out some parts of the manga and stuff, it's like they actually went above and beyond
Yep.
what the manga provided to tell these jokes. And he did it in a way that's actually funny. And that's why I feel like it's so refreshing whenever that happens, instead of just going one to one, and it just feels kind of lazy.
Yeah.
I
The
think
one thing. Oh,
I think I've talked about this on the podcast before because I did read a good portion of the Bocchi the Rock manga, but they
Hmm,
really with the anime did a phenomenal job taking what was a pretty solid but short source material and really like expanding and developing it correctly.
exactly.
mhm.
They yeah, I can't say for sure because like haven't read through all of it. This is just from the parts that I did read and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, they really felt like they went above and beyond and really
A
improved on the
lot of
story.
yeah.
And
A,
genuinely had a love for the property as well, like the
yes.
people who made it.
A lot of the stuff that I think people liked the most of the Gochuucast anime, especially in the comedy aspect, were things that just either barely exist in the source material or didn't at all.
Mm.
And that was the most interesting because you see when they do like the claymations and stuff like that, like and they get really crazy with those
Yeah,
little
I love
breakdowns.
that. Those, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
It,
believe any of that was stuff from the source material that I
no,
remember.
I don't think that'd be possible. How would you visualize
Exactly.
that? No, they just
Exactly.
they
You could
just
draw
did it in live
claymation,
action.
but like it would be weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
just
to
wouldn't make
me,
sense.
like,
It would
yeah,
just be a speech bubble in the manga or something
Yeah.
like that. This is just going off of assumption, but I don't think they'd suddenly include live action pictures in the manga.
No.
exactly. But that to me is like one of the best examples of why it's like really phenomenal the directing
Yeah,
stuff that they
going
did.
above and beyond for the production itself. And I feel like that's actually the thing that determines a lot of anime success. It's not just the source material, but it's the production. That's like a solid, huge chunk of what determines the anime's success in itself. Because like everyone knows Demon Slayer and stuff, right?
Mhm.
But from what I've seen, like this, I haven't read the manga myself, but I know people who have, and the story is just mid. Everyone knows that. Like it's no one's really watching Demon Slayer for its writing and
For the
stuff, like
story. Yeah.
or for the
Some people
story.
might be,
It's
but, Just kidding. Go ahead.
I
Demon
mean,
Slayer. Oh my god. I
but it got extremely
yeah.
successful because the people who were making the anime just
Mhm.
did a really good job making an anime. Like
Right.
it's
Yes.
just kind of that simple. Like they knew how to produce things well. They knew how to make the animation look good. The music was well done. It was well edited. All those different things. They just made a good
Yeah.
anime,
One thing
regardless of the source material.
I forgot to say was like with respect to like, the comedy thing, going back to that real quick, like
Mm.
this is just like a thing that I always remember. One of my
Mm.
first shows was actually Steins Gate, and I watched it dubbed. And like
Oh,
I
okay.
don't, and a lot of
Okay.
dubs like I don't like. I'm not like super opposed to them, but in general, I don't think they're of very good quality, so I tend to avoid them. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm
like
kind of the same.
I
But
watched it. I watched it dubbed, just whatever. It was on like Funimation or something. This was like my 10th anime or something. I don't know. And
Mm.
like I had seen other dubs and they were like really they just a lot of the times the scenes are very awkward. The voice actors were not like kind of disconnected from each other. I thought the Steins Gate dub did such a good job of like translating the humor. Like they were genuinely like they would not only translate it to like a modern context in like an English language, like how a joke would be said in English, but also like the voice actors, like how they delivered it. I think they did such a good job. Like I legitimately like I loved the dub for that show. Like I don't feel like I'm watching like a translation just because of how like everything was delivered, and
mm.
especially the comedy. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was
it
like
did very much seem like the guy behind, I forgot his name. That he did have a genuine care for the
yeah.
source
Apparently they
material and even
recorded together, which is
participated,
like
yeah,
very
and even
unique. Yeah,
participated in the translation himself.
yeah. I heard about that too.
Stan-
Yeah, yeah. I know his
Stan-
name. If you mention it, I'll be like, oh yeah, duh, that's him. But yeah,
J. Michael Tatum.
yeah, that's his name. Right. Yeah, yeah. And the thing like they were actually recording like in a studio together, like with which generally I think in dubs they like record their
Don't
specific
do.
parts separately on
Yeah,
their own, and they actually like did it together like they do in Japan. So I think that helped a
that's really
lot.
good.
So
Mm,
yeah, no, that was something about like translating jokes, and it's like I think if you put in the effort and like, I mean, obviously it's not always going to work, but like if you put in the effort and like really try to like
yeah.
think about
Funnily
comedic
enough,
timing and things like that, it can work out well. So
Yeah, funnily enough, a lot of the good dubs that I've heard of that people say, yeah, that dub's actually really good, a lot of them are actually from comedy anime. Like I've heard a lot of people praising the Konosuba dub. I've heard a lot of people praising the Kaguya-sama Lovers War dub as well.
Really?
Oh, I heard that one. I don't like
especially
it,
the
but
narrator.
I don't know.
I mean that's valid. I haven't.
I
I've only seen clips from either. Okay, this is just
oh
what
my
I'm
God,
taking
yeah,
from
yeah.
people's word for it. But like,
Yeah.
generally, people. I think a reason for that might be because like, generally when it's a comedy, it kind of gives the voice actors permission to just like go a little bit crazy with it, or like
Ghost
just
stories.
yeah, to just you don't need to take this super seriously, just like have fun behind the mic. And I feel like that, and because of that, it just kind of gives people the opportunity to just like come up with like totally new stuff that
Creative freedom. Yeah.
yeah, creative freedom, I suppose. And
Do you
of course,
think
there's the
the
entire Ghost Stories dub and stuff.
yeah? Do you think the Ghost Stories experiment gave? Because obviously nothing has
That
gone
might
off
have
the
contributed
rails.
to it.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing has gone off the rails like Ghost Stories. But do you think, like, looking at the like success in Western audience of the Ghost Stories dub, just because it was kind of a little off the rails, has made like newer dubs for comedy, such as like the Kaguya-sama, be like, okay, we can't do that, but
We
we can
can,
take the brakes up a little.
yeah, I think so. Like, it's very possible that because, oh, you know, it's not as bad as Ghost Stories and stuff. Like, they kind of
Mhm.
have a comparison thing there. Whereas,
I mean, there were
if it
things.
never existed, it might feel like they're a bit more like stilted. They might
Yeah.
need if it's like they have more limitations and they're not allowed to do this, and they just gotta go. Let's just play it safe.
Yeah.
So I definitely
I mean,
think that might have
there.
contributed to them having that kind of creative freedom, which is why, like, yeah, it feels like they did.
There are things in the Ghost Stories stuff that you definitely just cannot say, and that's
Oh, there's definitely
that's
time,
part of
yeah.
the magic.
They were
that-
only able to get away with it because of the time it was made.
exactly.
I don't think they'd be able to get away with
Oh, no,
releasing something like
No,
that
no, no,
today.
not at all. Zero
They'd maybe if it was like some unofficial parody dub on YouTube or something, like just made by like some random dude who with a small
It would
following.
get like 2 views.
The
Yeah, just
abridged
with 2
channel.
views. Yeah, just make it a tiny abridged channel. It'd probably be fine there. Certainly not an official release.
Yeah,
It's definitely the type of stuff where if it did not just become the funny phenomenon it is, like people would be looking back at these roles that people did for the Ghost Stories dub and being like, you should never voice act again.
it's kind of
Straight
like,
up, they'd be blacklisted or whatever, or just straight up like they'd be like people on all over Twitter just trying to make sure that they don't get
Twitter
a
would go
job again.
crazy. Twitter would go crazy.
They'd go nuts. It is quite funny to see, because like there's always a difference between stuff that released quite some time ago and stuff that's releasing now. People experience it completely differently. You see all the hot takes from when it's releasing weekly, and you see how people respond to it. And like someone made this post basically asking, imagine the discourse surrounding Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ants arc if it was releasing in Twitter 2023. And people just went, oh god, I don't even want to think about that. I just the amount of takes there would be surrounding like things that what is considered today to be a masterpiece of an arc. People would be shitting all over so many different
what's so bad
aspects of
about
it.
it? What happens in it?
Oh, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
It's not even. There's nothing particularly bad that it does.
Mhm.
It's just that people would zero in on certain random details and make a big deal out of it, like they do as always. Like, oh my god, I can't believe we had this entire episode dedicated to this one side
Girl
character
thing.
during the battle
Oh, okay,
during the
sure,
battle
yeah.
and stuff. Or oh my god, I can't believe the main character didn't fight the main bad guy. That's just
Right now.
ridiculous. Completely
Yeah.
just dismissing the actual point of the story. Why isn't the main character fighting the big bad guy. That's just kind of the takes that you'd see. Like I'd expect Gon to fight him. Why didn't he? Why? And there's also the fact that it has a really lengthy build up. So like there's a lot of setup happening towards the beginning. So I guarantee you during the point where that's being released, everyone would just be going boring, mid-arc, overrated show, everything. They'd just be
and then they'll
everywhere.
be back at the end when it gets to the good stuff and be like, "Yep, greatest show."
Yeah, it was always good. It was always great.
See,
Never
this is
ending.
the exact reason why I want Yu Yu Hakusho in general to like have some resurgence with people, but the Tournament of Power arc in Yu Yu Hakusho, which is I consider one of the top 5 shonen arcs of all time.
Oh
I
man, I gotta
specifically
check
want
out Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm interested
I
in it because
remember watching that on Toonami or some shit.
I know
So-
it's made by the same guy who made Hunter x Hunter, and he's a
Yes.
really good writer. Like he's
Yes.
just like there's no one really like Togashi, writing this stuff. He just has a really unique style. That
yes.
yeah.
Yep, which is why you
So-
should check out the Netflix version instead when it comes out.
Why?
No,
No.
do not check out the Netflix version when it comes out. I mean maybe it'll be decent, but
doubt
I
it.
just think it'd be really funny the way that Yu Yu Hakusho exists for like power scaling Twitter to get a hold of it and like actually pay attention to some of those arcs and then just see some of the conversations that I
Yeah.
already see with like the One Pieces and the JJKs and the Narutos all fighting over power scaling, talking about like,
Man, it's
oh
such
yeah,
a
Naruto is universal level and Luffy is island level, and I don't know what these terms mean, but
yeah. I mean, it's such a weird conversation to me because I'm just going, guys. You do realize these characters are fictional, right? The writers can just make them as strong as they want them to be. There's no real way of determining who's stronger.
and
You could
it's
just.
like
I mean, I
in
guess
One
it's
Piece
fun to talk
specifically,
about. Oh, sorry,
Luffy
what?
has always in One Piece specifically, Luffy has always essentially just been like as strong as Oda wants him to be.
I
And so
mean,
when
yeah,
people look back now on like some of the fights in previously in the series that he's won versus like later and like how those characters have interacted later, they're just like, how the fuck was he winning shit in like episode 100 and then this character comes back 400 episodes later and is like endgame level? And it's like, well, One Piece power scaling is not real. Just don't worry
yeah.
about
I mean, power scaling. I guess it. I guess it. Like it'd be fun for some people to talk like about hypotheticals and stuff, like which character would be stronger in this scenario and stuff. But personally, I just find it like such a non conversation. Maybe it's because I have written stuff and am a writer and stuff that it just seems like a very silly conversation to me. Because like I remember this video of Stanley, and even he was receiving the same questions and stuff. If the thing went in a fight with Iron Man, who would win? I'll tell you who win. I decide who wins because I'm the writer. It's determined by whoever's writing the story. If I say the thing will win, he'll win. If I say Iron Man will win, he'll win. And enough with these boneheaded questions. It's just, yeah, man couldn't have said it any better. I couldn't have said it any better myself. So, yeah, it's just such a funny conversation. It's just funny how much of a common conversation it is. Like,
I think it's hilarious to see, especially when they start pulling out the math. And
yeah, it's
that's
like,
my favorite part.
bruh, come on, it's not that serious. I mean, I get talking about, it's like, oh, who do you think would be, who would win? Like, Omni-Man or Homelander and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, of course Omni-Man would win. Because, like, of what was established in their story. But, like, if you're going any further than that, like, and you're whipping out the graphs and stuff, like, or, like, diving in, it's like, man, I don't think this is
Have you
really
guys
useful or anything like. I mean, it's just fun. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as any real useful conversations and stuff. But like,
have you guys seen any of the conversations trending lately in like the power scaling community about the Powerpuff
There's a
Girls.
power scaling
Yeah.
community.
Oh, the Powerpuff
The
Girl. I
Powerpuff
saw
Girl
that.
conversations are the
Wait,
funniest
hold on.
thing.
Link me a tweet or something. What?
No,
Uh,
people love to compare characters like Omni-Man, Superman, Homelander. Everyone seems to universally agree that Homelander is the weakest and stuff. And then the Powerpuff Girls was also introduced to the mix.
yes. Basically, power scaling Twitter. Not, I don't even think it originated in the anime group. I think it originated, like he was saying, with the Homelander and Omni Man conversation. And then someone was like, "Bro, y'all are talking about the wrong people. The Powerpuff Girls, the most powerful in like any verse." And then people have like run the math on it, and they're like,
Oh
they
man.
are the most broken characters for like the power scaling community ever. Um, Basically, if you could think of any superpower that would break the game and any like limit that would go above your favorite like strong
It's the
character, the
Powerpuff
Powerpuff
Girls.
Girls will win. Speed,
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls kind
strength,
of crazy.
abilities. Powerpuff Girls literally diff everyone, and it's been the funniest thing to see that has come out because people will be making these arguments about like this character versus that character, and people will just come in and be like, "Okay, Powerpuff Girls watch both."
Powerpuff Girls queen.
Just yeah, and I'm just watching with the popcorn as everyone's just like going back and forth about this and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I like that.
I feel like at like a certain point, when do you just get bored of those conversations? I feel like a lot of shonen
Yeah.
bro Twitter is like, okay, this is the 10th time that you said like Luffy clears Goku today. Do you have like anything else to say on the matter? Like,
Oh, what's that? What's that?
Like, dude, do they have anything
Sheen,
else
yeah.
to say? It's like,
Sheen, this is the 7th
That's the
time you showed up
frustrate-
in class today. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's the frustrating part of it, I suppose. It's just like, bro, aren't there more like insightful conversations about this stuff that you could be having? And this is a very shonen bro thing, right? Because like I look at other types of anime coming out, and like I've seen like the worst hot takes in regards to shows like Oshinoko and stuff, right? But at the very least, they actually had something to do with the characters and the psychology behind them and stuff. They might be wrong, but at the very least, it's about the right thing. Like it's like actually kind of trying to dig deep into what the story is about and the characters and stuff. And then you go to Shonen Twitter, and then you just see some of the most like surface level tweets ever. Like, and it
Well, and
makes you
nowadays
genuinely
they-
question if they're actually thinking about the story that they're consuming.
Nowadays,
Like-
with the with Twitter the way it is, people also just literally tweet shit just to get
Yeah.
people to
Gotcha.
Just to
interact.
get people riled
Do
up.
that,
It's
do
just
that.
bait here and everywhere. It just, oh man, I came up with a real new hot take. I think Goku versus Superman, who would win? Just
Yeah, and
man,
what's funny is
I
when
don't know.
people make the really outrageous tweets where they'll post like, usually what it'll be is they'll post like Luffy, for example, and then put like less than sign, and then take like
Any
the
random character, just
random character from Naruto and put it there, and their interaction
people
farming.
will actually
then
take it
people-
seriously.
Yeah. And my favorite part is when people post stuff like that. I always love it. That anime Twitter has been doing this lately. People post that, and the first like highest comment you'll see on it will be someone being like, "Rent's due, huh?" And
Yep.
that's like
Yeah, Rent's
my
due.
Rent's due,
favorite
huh?
meme in regard to these types of tweets. Is just like, someone needs to pay their rent.
yeah, anime
Yeah,
Twitter already
someone-
sucked, but like Twitter Blue ad rev money just made it so much worse. It's just
Man,
like,
one of the
tweeted.
things that one of the worst things about Twitter Blue ever is when you find a funny meme and you want to see what people have to actually say about that meme, or if anyone's pointed
Yes.
something out, and you go into the comments for that
Everyone
meme,
else's
and
comments.
all you see are bot accounts
Yep.
spamming completely unrelated memes, and I'm just like, oh, come, is anyone here actually talking about the meme? And I need to scroll down for like a full minute before actually finding people who are actually talking about the meme. and it sucks. Like, why would you make that decision? It's
I
like
don't know if they're even
nobody
like
likes this
bot
decision.
accounts or like just accounts are like, oh, this is getting a lot of views, so I put my thing here. I'm gonna go to the top because I have Team
Yeah,
Blue, and then my thing's
they
gonna
just,
get viewed, and then I get
I
impression
mean,
money.
even if it's a person behind it, I'm still gonna call
It's
it a
still
bot
annoying.
tweet
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's just it basically is one. Like, there's no difference. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's like all the tweets, like, which is the, I don't know, what's the best shonen anime? What's the best demographic? Stuff
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
there was
And it's like
even one that
always the same
I
for anime.
retweeted literally just like yesterday and stuff, where it's just like there's which is the best anime genre, shonen, seinen, shoujo, or isekai, and the examples they provided for shoujo were all shonen romance.
Wait, what did they provide? I
They provided okay, Kaguya-sama is a seinen,
yeah.
and they put that in for shoujo romance. They also put in Rent a Girlfriend and
Okay.
I think I remember.
Okay.
It's like Horimiya or something as well.
and Horimiya.
I think,
Yeah,
I don't
those
know what
three.
it classifies as, but
Shoujo equals romance anime, even if it's a shonen romance.
It's like how I'll never understand how Fruits Basket is so like highly rated everywhere and everyone forgets it exists.
No, straight up. Like I see, like as soon as when I was first trying to figure out what is like shoujo anime and stuff, like I was still new. And it's like, okay, what are some examples? Fruits Basket is like, oh, okay, Fruits Basket. Now
It's
I
like
get it. Like,
the
I haven't seen
easiest
Fruits Basket
example.
yet, but
Yes.
like, it's a pretty famous anime. Like, I feel like most people would know about it if they spent any amount of time in the anime community, even if you're not familiarized with shoujo. Just by hearing the name, yeah,
It's
it's pretty.
yeah, that's I mean there's even though like other fun ones that like people should know like Orin High School Host Club is even
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
haven't watched it like everyone's heard of that,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And Sailor Moon, everyone's heard of Sailor Moon. Like,
Yeah.
so. I mean, that's like with, Pokemon and stuff and like Yu-Gi-Oh! You people know about Sailor Moon. So there's really it's like you just didn't do your research as to what the word shoujo actually means. Um
Which to be
what would
fair, it's not always an easy one.
yeah.
We talk about AniList tags a lot. Um so I'm looking at the shoujo AniList tags just I was curious. Is Banana Fish a shoujo?
Banana
it's
fish?
Like
B.
I
it
It's
I
makes
BL,
did
sense.
so I
see it.
think it counts as one. Maybe it's like
It makes sense, I think,
it's
but
for that
also
demographic, so
that
yeah, it
feels
makes sense.
random. But yeah,
Yeah, like
Yamada
BL is a
Kun is on
very
here.
like
Yeah, with
like
shoujo.
dedicated demographic, so shoujo would make sense for it, even if it feels off.
I
All
mean,
of these make sense, but I always think it's funny to look at tags
the
on
first thing,
AniList.
I searched up was that, and it says though Banana Fish was published and marketed as a shoujo manga, its dense plot, heavy dialogue, and extensive action sequences led it to attract a significant crossover audience of male and adult female readers. Um, okay,
That's an
I
interesting way
mean,
to put it.
it's just like
As like
genres are
it's
just weird, man. That's
yeah,
I mean that kind of you can say that for quite a few shoujo manga though. Like it's like, oh, this shoujo manga is different actually. Um, so. But yeah,
right.
if it was published in a shoujo magazine, then it's a shoujo. It's really that simple.
yeah.
Like,
It's just at that point you can't use like specific characteristics. Well, I mean, you never could. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I guess there's like shoujo versus shonen and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
yeah,
that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
like, I feel like I don't know what it is that caused shoujo, because like I feel like it's shoujo is still a very alien concept to a ton of people in the anime community, especially to people like Shonen Bros and stuff like that. And it's kind of like part of me has to question why that is. Like there are multiple reasons for why that could be. Like it could be because like it's still like very much a male dominated industry. It could be because a lot of the shoujo manga that are adapted aren't like marketed very well. And it could be because of how the entire industry works as a whole, where people just have no faith in shoujo manga attracting a male audience, of both, whereas shonen generally does have fan bases of both women and men. Uh,
I think there's
this is the
also
sort of thing you'd make an entire video on. It's not
yeah.
something that I could get into here.
I also think there's a general fact too that um even before understanding what a shoujo is, a lot of like the average, especially Western anime fan, probably doesn't actually know
Westerns.
what shonen means. They probably
Mm.
just hear
They
shonen and
just
they
see
think like,
anime
oh,
and
like
they think,
yeah,
well, they see shonen and think that's all anime basically, because like they don't even know what a shonen is. They just think
well,
that
and
most
it's
anime
like
are like My Hero Academia and Demon
exactly.
Slayer and stuff like that. Um,
And so like the way that like the average anime fan who doesn't know the terms might think of is like, oh, shonen is like the power of friendship battle show, like My Hero and Fairy Tail, and then seinen is like that except they die.
the darker stuff,
And then
yeah.
and that's like
That's so funny because then you get debates surrounding it's like, oh, this is a really dark shonen manga. Are you sure it's a shonen?
are you
It
sure it's
might be a
shonen?
seinen. And it's like, bro,
Exactly.
you do realize that shows like you do realize that show like Kaguya-sama Lovers War and K-On! Are seinen, right? Like this has nothing to do with
Yep.
how dark the subject matter gets. It just has to do with the manga it was magazine it was published in. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
But that's the point, right? Is I think it's there's just a general misunderstanding about what those two terms mean, and then so
yeah, what the
people get
demographics
shojo.
mean, and yeah.
Yeah, people get shojo added to the mix, and they're like, "Well, I don't fucking know, did romance?"
I don't
And then they're
know.
like, "Oh,
Romance anime, I suppose. Yeah, let's put in all the male aimed at the male target audience romance anime and go, yeah, shoujo. A great way to piss off all the shoujo fans. Rent a Girlfriend is my favorite shoujo
Dude,
anime.
oh,
Rent
Oh,
a
wait,
that's
Girlfriend
an
in
insulting.
shojo is
bro.
insulting."
That's extremely
It's
insulting.
salting. Just
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
like shoujo. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised like the anime's part of it hasn't gone farther. I can see why the manga side maybe not as much. There's a lot of like bloat in the shoujo
yeah.
manga world with a lot of very.
Yeah, that is.
I went through a phase with manga where I read a lot of generic shoujos that I thought were awesome, and then I look back on them like, man, I really just
Those were
read this.
mid.
Yeah, hey,
I
they were
mean,
mid the entire time. That's crazy.
I mean, to be fair, like that just applies to literally every genre and demographic. Like, I feel like when it comes to genres like the romance genre, like I feel like most of them, the ones that come out, are pretty mid. Like, it's kind of, and especially isekai, of course. Like, that's a very oversaturated one where there's
Yep.
just tons of mid coming out every single season. And I kind of feel the same way about a lot of shonen as well. It's just regardless of whatever genre or demographic you get into, there's just going to be a ton of mid because that's just how media works in general. Like it's kind of impossible to avoid. Not everything can be peak, and I feel like yeah, that's just something that happens a lot. Seinen though, like that is an interesting thing though, because I feel like
I mean,
Seinen
like
kind of
Steins Gate,
has
right?
this.
Technically.
Seinen has this reputation of being full of very high quality
Yes.
stuff, and it kind of makes me wonder, what about all the mid in Seinen? Like, surely there has to be a lot of it. It's just
Um,
that people wouldn't generally talk about it, or it just kind of
well, there's a
slip
lot of
under
mid
the
in every
radar
genre, right?
completely. Exactly. But it makes me wonder why it is that Seinen specifically has such a reputation that it does. Like,
I think it's
what happened to
because
all the mid shows from Seinen? Is it just
We don't watch them.
nobody even hears about them in the first place? Is it that when they do come out, like I don't know. I don't know.
to me, I feel like it's because and like I was saying earlier with how I don't think people quite get the definitions, and I think that
Mm,
plays into it. Where I think um, a lot of people's first gateways are like the shonen like popular shows that everyone
Mm.
would know, the Naruto's, the Dragon Balls, stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, they'll battle and everyone will live and it'll like the story will go on. And I think like because of the fact that people don't quite know what a seinen is, and then they see something
Mm.
like a Vinland Saga, right? Something that's that next step, and
Yeah, that
then they
next level
get
type of
into
anime
that,
and think,
and
oh
people are
man, this is
dying
what
and
seinen
getting
is all about.
exactly. And I think that also because if I'm someone who, Naruto was my first anime, and then I watched Fairy Tail, I watched Dragon Ball, all these shows where everyone lives and the stakes are fake, right? And then I go to
Mm.
a Vinland Saga. This is my introduction to seinen, and then I'm seeing like die and all this blood and gore, and I'm like, holy shit, this is so different from what
Yeah.
I know.
Not
And
gonna
just
lie, that's
the
how I
fact,
felt when I first watched anime, when I watched Naruto in general. Oh my god, there's blood in a cartoon? Oh
Mhm.
wow! It just blew my mind.
Well, this is like the same general effect on a like micro level that like Maiden Abyss has on people, right?
mm,
Because most people don't go into Maiden Abyss knowing what it's going to be.
mm. I
Um,
mean, I feel like it's kind of gained a reputation for being this
at this point, yeah,
pretty
at this point now
at this
people like
point.
get it.
But when it
Uh,
was first coming out, it probably would have been different, where people
yeah,
thought it was
people
like
see
this
like the
cute adventure
cover.
story.
Exactly. People see the cover and they're like, "Oh, it's two little like cute
Two
kids like
little kids,
traveling around
yeah.
this like fantasy world, right?" And
Mm,
that's what they think they're going into, and then they get that like almost shock factor, and they're like,
yeah,
"Holy fuck!"
it's the
And
Magical
to
Magica
me,
effect.
it's the same thing, right? Like most people start in the shonen genre, and then they find seinen, and it's so
Yeah,
different
seinen's like the natural next step after
progression.
shonen.
Yeah,
So yeah, and
and so
I,
it's
I
like
think I
fresh.
think what also yeah, but I think what also might be the case is that I think a lot of the mid stuff that does come out that is seinen, people just don't generally identify it as seinen
Yes.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot of different genres within seinen.
Yep.
Like there's romance seinen, there's slice of life, there's action, adventure. It's just completely varied. So generally, if there's a show that comes out that's mid, they're not going to attribute it to being a seinen. They're just
True,
going
true.
to
Wait, that's
say it
actually
was a mid
fast.
show,
Yeah, I was
and that's
actually
kind of it.
about to say that because I'm looking here, and how many people would ever look at Umaru-chan and be like, "Yeah, it's Satan."
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just curious.
exactly.
Bocchi the Rock, seinen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it shows like you would not
We already brought up
think to
K-On!
identify.
yeah.
Kobayashi
I feel
Dragon
like
Maid. Seinen is a huge genre
it is
because the actual definition is basically just like adult men, right?
pretty much
Or
like
even like
Young
older
adult, I'd say.
teenage.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like most of the anime you hear people talking about within the anime community that isn't a shonen is generally gonna be a seinen. Like this is just my assumption, but like a lot of them are, and
A lot of
they
them are,
just
yeah.
don't generally attribute it to being a seinen, like because that's just kind of like saying uh an anime in general. Like it's not descriptive enough, so they
I think,
describe it as a romance anime or
yeah.
a fantasy anime or all those kinds of things. Aren't a lot of isekai seinen technically?
Probably
Prob-
it's.
How
I
how,
I
feel
mean,
like
how
light
does that
novels.
work?
I
I don't know how light novels work with that whole thing. Like they aren't published in
Yeah, light
is
novels
magazines,
is a
that's
so
different thing
I don't think they have
because it's
that
not published in the
same.
seinen magazine.
For what
Yeah,
it's worth, I think like the thing that what's the word, like attribution or whatever to like, or I mean I guess it is like part of the labeling, but like the shonen genre, like I think a lot of that is just like no memes, like it's actually due to like the name Shonen Jump being so recognizable like everywhere.
yes.
Like I
Yeah,
feel like that's like a big
Shonen
thing.
Jump definitely like defines a lot of people's
Yeah, it's like even like
expectations for what shonen
casual
is.
anime fans or like people who don't know, they know it exists, and I feel like that term shonen has become like so much more prominent. It's just part of
Yeah,
it.
along a lot of people's minds, shonen equals Shonen Jump.
Mhm.
That's just
Yep.
kind of the reality of the scenario right now. Because you know everyone's thinking about Naruto, One Piece, Bleach,
Naruto.
just of
All
course,
Shonen Jump uh
all of Shonen
series.
Jump is the big
Yeah.
three. it's quite fascinating though. Like because like there was a time when I got into the anime community and like I was finding out all these different shows and it was amazing. It's like wow, like this is such a wide and varied medium. There's so many different types of shows that are completely different from each other. And then I want and then at one point like because like I see the type of things shows that people usually talk about in the anime community, and it's usually those types of shows like super wide and varied. And then at one point I made a Facebook account to because like I was still a very small channel at the time, and I just went and joined a few anime communities and stuff to see if I could if there's any that I could get away with promoting my work on there. And the discussions I saw there was like, wait a second, why is everyone still talking about Naruto? Have I been transported back to like 2010
Yes.
or something? Like I feel like I've gone back in time somehow, and yet this is people in the present currently
Still
talking
not.
about still talking about what happened in Naruto, and I'm like, wait, these people, how new are you to this? Like, and it seems like they've been here for a while. And then after that, I thought, oh, that's just a Facebook thing, right? And then, but then more recently in Annie Twitter even, I still see people like Shonen Bros and stuff, and they're still talking about Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, and I'm just like, wait, bro. And
The Shonen Bros don't stop.
the most fascinating thing about it is that they make it their entire identity, and they don't seem to branch out from there. Like that's just kind of the end game to them.
Oh, there's
I've
a
seen
really funny.
I've seen Bleach. Now that's that. Actually, no. A better example would be I've seen One Piece. This is it. This is my entire
Yeah.
identity now. That's like I'm not gonna watch any other anime aside from that. And anyone who insults my anime, I will fight you. And and as a result of that, you see all these posts where they're just comparing all different super popular shonen series. Actually, Jujutsu Kaisen is better than My Hero Academia. Actually, Bleach solos Naruto. Oh, by the way, did you? I bet Goku. If Naruto and yeah, whatever. If Luffy and Goku got in a fight, Luffy would probably win. I don't know. It's just it all just kind of blends together in my mind, and it's what a lot of this stuff looks like. And I'm just sitting here like, bro. At some point, you gotta get tired of this, right? Like, are
No.
you ever going to branch out into different
No.
shows? Like, I
So,
saw Naruto, thought, wow, that's great. And I saw My Hero Academia, and at the time, I thought, wow, that's great. And then I kept finding different shows, and eventually I'm watching shows like Erased. And, it just befuddles me that instead of people watching something like that and going, wow, I'd like to find more about this anime thing. Instead, they just kind of sit there with the exact same thing and have
Same
the
with like
exact same
music,
tired
right?
conversations. Like, it's
I mean,
so
it's kind of the
weird.
same with
The,
music, though. Some people just listen to like
yeah.
a music in a specific genre. It's like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just comfort for some people, I guess, right?
Yeah, I suppose it's a comfort thing. They just don't get into it. It's more of a casual watching kind of thing, which
And
is
that's
fair
like
enough.
fine.
But then you
Yeah,
wonder
sorry.
why they're so avid about it online, and they seem very invested in it.
I don't know.
So
People can be invested in.
it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know.
contradictory. I don't know.
When are we gonna
Yeah.
get
But the
athletes
really,
with Butcher the Rock on their cleats? That's what I want.
True. The really funny thing is when the Attack on Titan finale came out, there were a
Mm.
couple of users in Annie Twitter on the One Piece side who were like, okay, now's the time. I'm going to binge all of Attack on Titan and like talk about it in tweets. And there's one
Yeah.
in particular I'm thinking
I
of.
didn't see any of this
Anyone,
actually.
anyone who knows One Piece Twitter will know exactly who I'm talking of. It's a really big person in there, but he's like
Does it
the
start with a
gremlin
G?
of the community. It does start with a G. It's that one.
Yeah.
I think he's funny, but like people hate
I think
this
I
guy
would
because
mute
he is like the definition of just stir shit up for clicks and fun.
Okay.
But
In the One Piece community.
started, yes, he's in the One Piece
Yeah.
community. He started watching Attack on Titan, and he like got really into it, right? And he was talking about like, oh, this show is great. And then he started because he is the gremlin that he is, making tweets that were like anti One Piece just to
Oh my
fuck with his
god.
community, and he just about got bullied out of liking Attack on Titan because every time
There
he
were that many
tweet
people shitting on him.
anything, yeah, everyone was just like shitting so much on him, and other like big names in the One Piece community would be just like having fun with it and being like, "We've lost some boys" and all this shit because he would post something, um, something like crazy, and I think there was
Yeah,
one
I
tweet
think
he made
yeah.
that was like, "If Oda wrote Attack on Titan, we would
Oh
still
my
be at this point," or something like that. And people went off on him, and it was the funniest shit. And if you know the guy, you know he was doing it just to fuck with people. But it was
yeah,
so
it's bait.
funny watching his entire community. People are like unfollowing and leaving, and at some point he just like swaps his
It's
BFP back to the One Piece picture. It's like, all right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that.
yeah, it's so funny how people online tend to take fiction like super seriously. Like it's and this is something coming from a guy who analyzes fiction as his job. People online take fiction too seriously, man. Like you got to realize that this is just like a show at the
It's
end of the
just a
day,
show.
right?
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. Like, who cares if someone said something that insulted like one of the characters in it? It's like, okay, that's his opinion, and yeah,
Yeah, but his opinion was
and
wrong.
it's
It's
like
not my opinion. So
it's like their entire identity was attacked. Like it's not just oh, you insulted a show, you insulted a part of my identity, and for that you must pay. How dare you insult my favorite show? And it's just yeah,
It's
people
just
get
not
way
all
too
that.
stirred
Yeah.
up about it. Like man,
Well, my favorite is when you don't mention their show and they still get stirred up about it. That's my favorite.
no, I'm because like it's I'm friends with other YouTubers and stuff, right? Like, and it's so funny how we still make jokes about how like we'd get random comments where it's just like, nah, One Piece better, One Piece
Yeah,
solos, just
they just come
completely
for
out
you.
of context. We never mentioned One Piece at all. And they still felt the need to bring it up. I had a video talking about Mushoku Tensei, and there's still some guy in the comment. There was this one guy, he's just like, nah, man, One Piece better. Like, maybe it's a
As a
meme.
One
I don't
Piece
know.
fan, I love it. It is definitely a
I
meme,
tried to see
but
it as a meme. Like, I hope to God that these people aren't actually serious and they're just doing it for the shits and giggles because, like, it is funny for me and my friends to share it and stuff. It's like, oh my God, we got it again.
got
But
another one. My
but
favorite
yeah,
is like if you were in one of these communities. Let's use One Piece since we've been using that. And you tweet
Hmm.
out, let's say you're like, "Wow, this week's free run episode was good." Right? That's all you say. And then if you're in One Piece Twitter or
but
Naruto
your
Twitter
One
or
Piece
Bleach
account,
Twitter,
like.
they'll be like, "Okay, so you hate One Piece now?"
Man, it's the exact definition of that. So you hate waffles meme?
Yes,
Like,
no, it is. That literally is exactly what happens.
man, I
And
like
it's
pancakes. So you're saying you hate waffles? No, no,
Yeah.
that's entirely new sentence. What are you talking about?
It just
that is
happens so much in
exactly
media. Like
yeah.
someone says they like one thing, and people just assume they just hate the other thing. It's like
Yeah, that's a thing that happens on social media in general. People write their own narrative of what you are trying to say,
exactly, dude.
despite the fact that you never said it. And I've had this so many times. Especially like because like you guys obviously would know about the entire K-pop Made in Abyss
Yep.
controversy and
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
right? Like
rough.
I was one of the I'm quite sure that I was one of the first AniTubers or anime accounts to actually like comment on it. It's one of my friends was saying that it was very possible that I'm the one who introduced it to the anime community by accident. But regardless, that tweet obviously blew up, and I had just tons of people going, "I can't believe you'd advocate for child grape," and I'm just like, bro, what? What? What are
I
you
read,
talking about? Like,
I read
the-
that thread because Daniel was talking to some of us about it, and he posted that, and I was literally the sitting eating popcorn while reading it, and
That
I
shit's so
even
funny.
messaged Daniel at one point, and I was like, Brandon kind of going off on them in the replies, though. Not gonna lie.
I did that because it was fun. I knew pretty much everyone who would see
Yeah,
the scenario was on my side. So at that point, I was just seeing what I could come up with to ratio them. And it was
bro,
so
that
fun. Like I
that
wanted to
first thread was
expose them.
so wow.
Wait, which Fred?
It was what was the one, Daniel? It
I think it was literally just
It
your
was just a quote
initial
tweet, right?
tweet.
the guy who didn't watch it. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Oh,
the
you
guy
can
who
just watch
that
guy
was
who didn't
video
that
essays.
was iconic to me. Like I want to print out that tweet and hang it on my wall.
You went through that whole conversation and it mentioned multiple times, like, "Have you even seen it?" And
Have
then
you
finally
seen it?
he folds and is
And
like,
goes,
"Well,
he
no,
admits
I
it.
haven't seen it,
You
but
don't.
I
This
know."
may come as a shock, but you don't have to watch the anime to know what happens in it. Video essays are a thing. Got ratioed so hard, man. He got over 300 court tweets on that and like 10 likes. It was so
Yeah.
funny. It was
Don't let
so
them find our
damn
Atrix
funny.
episode.
That that is the Atrix take. One of our good buddies who we had was our last guest a few episodes back. He famously said that his favorite anime is Naruto, and then later proceeded to admit to us that he has never seen Naruto and has only only experienced it through random videos on the internet.
I am convinced that's how most of these Twitter users do watch this anime. They watch it through clips on TikTok and yeah, I know about the anime. I've seen it. I'm very knowledgeable about it.
Could you imagine trying to watch something like Hunter x Hunter through only TikTok clips? That sounds terrible.
Man, that'd make
TikTok, I can understand long form content. TikTok clips is crazy.
yeah. I just can't believe that people would actually have this much confidence despite knowing so little.
Knowing nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is insane to me because like I can only very confident for me personally, I can only very confidently say something if I know for sure that I have consumed it and understand it. If I haven't watched it and I've only seen it through clips, I always make sure to specify that I haven't seen it and this is purely guesswork. I am giving it the benefit of the doubt. But people on the internet, they just go, man, this show, the reason the show failed was because it just sucked. It was badly written and all these different reasons, and they get into heated discussions as to why that is. And then I go, wait a second, have you seen it?
Yep.
Crickets.
That
No
and
response.
what
And it's just, it blows my mind. And it still gets me. Like, how are these people so confident knowing what they're talking
Well,
about?
no.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You can just be me. I know everything, so I can be confident about whatever I'm talking about.
I play
Simple as.
the other end of this sometimes with so I have watched 4 episodes of Death Note,
I hate this.
and I do not like
Oh,
the 4 episodes of Death Note I watched. How about that?
okay, sure.
That's a way to put it.
No,
And
no, that's fine.
I openly admit that I am sure the series gets better, but I also, because it is so polarizing, love to just say Death Note is dog shit. And
mean,
it
the thing
gets
about
the
that-
reactions.
Yeah, it certainly would get reactions and stuff. And I don't really particularly care if you don't like Death Note, that's fine. But I don't think it does like get marginally better. Like if you don't like it from the start, it's just not that type of show
I
where you're gonna
forgot what
change your
happens
mind.
with that. But like, yeah,
And
maybe.
that's fair.
But I mean, I watched the first couple. I mean, I've watched through all of Death Note, and I was already like interested in it from like the first 2 episodes and stuff. So it's like if I feel like you've watched, if you've watched that and you feel like, man, I don't like the show at all, I don't think you're gonna be changing your mind anytime soon because it's very consistent. Throughout the first
agree.
half. At least, like
I just mean,
everyone,
like,
most people
real-
seem to actually agree that it gets worse after a certain plot point happens, and it's like 2/3 of the way in. and everyone says that Death Note is just one of those shows where if you're not liking it from the beginning, you're never really gonna like it, I don't think. And it's a similar kind of thing with like shows like it's actually kind of similar with a lot of shonen shows because like of how they're made. Like in a shonen magazine, they're only able to keep going if they are getting the votes and stuff from the people who read the magazine. So generally, you got to be as good as possible right from the beginning. You're not going to get a Steins Gate or anything in a shonen magazine. That I don't think that'd make it there.
Or you
So
have to
generally,
be
they try
fucking,
and
Kagurabachi. That's
yeah.
the
So
exception.
generally, from the first chapter, they're gonna put their all into making something great. Obviously, there'd be exceptions to this, but like that's the system that they're in that they need to try and work with. So a lot of people are going to go, yeah, you got to be good from the first episode. You got to be good from the first chapter. So because of that, generally after watching the first couple episodes, you're gonna get a good idea of whether or not you like the show based on that.
Yeah, imagine continuing a show when you're not interested in it. I could never do that.
Yeah, imagine.
I'd
Imagine
definitely
sitting for
drop my
3
shows.
seasons of Rent a Girlfriend, even though you openly despise the show and already know what happens.
Yeah, I think what's important, like you're allowed to crap on shows that you don't like, and you don't have to finish it, but like you kind of got to be upfront about like if it's in a serious conversation, you should be fairly upfront with how much of it you have consumed,
Mhm.
and like and just try
Well,
to be
that's
fair
why-
about it. I feel like the times people really get mad is when you're being unfair towards it. Like, oh, I haven't seen the show at all, but everyone else said it's trash, so it must be trash. Like, dude, you're not even giving it a fair shot at this point. If you go, oh yeah, I've seen the first few episodes of it, it didn't interest me at all, I didn't like it, I can go, yeah, that's fair.
Well, that's
and
why
yeah,
I
there's no
preface
real problem.
the Death Note take with that, because in serious
Exactly.
conversations, I do mention that, and I say like I know a lot of people like it. Maybe if I had continued it, it would have changed. Maybe it wouldn't have. But I just don't want to.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like that's the mature way about going about a lot of yeah, it's a mature way of talking about things. Unless it's like a
Also,
joke or something and stuff.
Yeah,
But it's like,
exactly.
who cares?
Sometimes you don't want to be mature, and I just want to say Death Note is shit because it's funny.
Yeah. But the problem is I feel like everyone on Twitter is pretending to be mature while being super immature. Like, and that's just a thing that happens a lot. Like it's a funny thing because like I've realized the more time I've spent on the platform that in order to get likes, you need to word your tweet in a way that sounds very smart, and people go, yeah, I agree with this. Absolutely this. But the thing is, a lot of people on Twitter aren't very smart. Like
also
they aren't
young,
actually
too. It's
smart.
like-
Yeah, they act very childishly, and a lot of them, it's like I think a lot of them actually are children, which
No, straight up, yeah.
Sharing the
a lot of them
internet
are
for
just
stuff.
and yeah, there's a reason that entire meme was like, oh, the fact that I am at risk of seeing a 14-year-old's opinion is a violation of human rights, or something like that. But like, yeah, I feel like people like. I just gotta wonder what it would be like if everyone knew the actual age of the people they're talking to. But then again, that can't actually happen for obvious reasons because like, there'd be weirdos and creeps and stuff. But like, man, I feel like so much of online discussion could like be very different if people just knew, oh, this is a 14-year-old's opinion. I know not to take it too seriously. But then again, I've seen people just absolutely shitting all over someone who is a kid and has a picture. It just shows a picture of a kid, and people will still shit on them. So I feel like that's just a thing that happens in social media in general, where they just like get desensitized to what they're actually talking about. Like people like don't comprehend the reality of what it is that they're saying, and they just go, "Yeah, whatever. It's online anyways. Who cares?" And despite the fact that they never say that to their face, but yeah.
My bad.
The
I just
idea is
I'm
interesting.
breathing because I just sneezed really hard.
Yeah, I saw.
I had to mute. I
That's
had to,
fine.
oh my gosh.
Like,
But yeah,
how do you like almost fall out of your chair?
No, it was just like it was just really loud, and it just
I see.
recovered,
I
bro.
see.
Sometimes
It's
you just
big ones.
have. I have like sneezes that sometimes my arms just fucking hurt after. I don't understand why it
Yeah,
happens,
sometimes it's
but
just the recoil, bro. It's
yeah.
like
yes,
the
The
whiplash.
sneezes.
recoil. Yep.
That is the
Um,
funniest turn of conversation ever. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I don't remember now. I
Ah
feel like
man,
I hit something, and now that the loud ass sneeze happened.
Yeah. Alright, Spats, make up for your loud sneeze. You must now
come up with a
come
new
up with a new
topic of
topic.
conversation.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. So
Hmm.
I actually I was watching your video on Erased.
Okay.
Because that was a show that I think it felt like when I watched it, it felt like a show that would have been perfect for me. Like I love that suspense and like I actually liked a lot of the episodes. But like
Hmm.
I agree with you, like um certain parts of it, it's not even just the ending. It's not even just the ending. Like ending was whatever.
I mean, the show is flawed as a
Yeah,
whole,
it's like
but
the parts leading up to it that I think
I
you
was
highlighted.
willing to give it a pass because of the I was willing to suspend my disbelief with a lot of parts because
Mhm.
I didn't know how it was going to be resolved. So I thought, oh, there's a plot hole here, but that might make more sense at the end. So I'm willing to hold out on that. But then because of the way the ending is wrapped up, you look back on certain aspects and think that just made no sense at all. There was no reason that should have been there. It was just kind of dumb. Um sorry, were you gonna say something else, or did I
Oh
just
no, 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 no.
interrupt?
I was just saying, like, I think, like you did a good job of highlighting the points that, like, the parts leading up to the ending were like kind of the weaker parts and the parts that I think
Hmm.
it wasn't just the ending itself. It was like the way it flowed into the ending. Because I think in like a lot of
Yeah.
cases the ending could have worked. It was just like, there's also a comment I read. It's like it wasn't like a highly upvoted
Hmm.
comment. I think it was like down there, but it was like, um, there was like a part in the story that like I think right after he drowned.
I
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just a disclaimer. I have not seen Erased,
I've
so
also
No,
not
no,
seen
no.
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah, I just
and
yeah.
I
There's like
may want to watch it sometime. So
it,
just
it
be
is it is
careful
it's
of the
not bad.
things you say. Yeah, yeah,
No, yeah. So
Yeah, I'll
there's
try to
basically like a
avoid spoilers.
stretch from like maybe episode 8 or 9. Like I think when they like the guy picks him up from the hockey game or whatever, and then he tries to
Yeah,
kill
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
And like from that up to the ending, like that part, the guy said in the comments, like, I forgot everything. Like nothing about that part was like memorable. And I think that's like such a
Yeah.
good like description of like what kind of was missing. So I thought that was like
Yeah.
very
A
interesting
lot
because
of
that's a show I
people
was like, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have actually like blocked it out from their memory,
Yeah, it's like
which is
weird.
pretty
Like
funny.
yeah. There's so
Yeah,
many
it
parts of
was
that shows that I remember like very, very clearly, but like a lot of it leading up to the ending was just like, yeah, kind of
yeah.
forgettable. And I think they kind of
And
ruined
and
it.
and and the thing is, I would have been like, even though there are parts of like the beginning episodes and stuff, like throughout most of it, that were the parts of it that were flawed and stuff. I was willing to give a lot of those things a pass because it was entertaining, it was suspenseful, and I cared about the characters and stuff, and like it did those things well. And it got me invested into the narrative it was trying to say. So even if there were a lot of parts about the villain that is just stupid, I wouldn't really care because
Mhm.
that's not why I'm watching the show in the first place and stuff. So, and I would have been fine with some of those things happening. But then the reason I criticized the ending so much is because it felt like it just felt like a different show. Like it just felt like it completely went off from what I enjoyed about it and
Mhm.
what it was about. Like how I felt what it was about. um so yeah,
Yeah.
I had a
Also, my other
hmm.
complaint, quote unquote complaint, but like I don't know how bad it is like I found the villain to be very, very obvious. Like from episode like the second or third episode after he like transported back in time, like I
Yeah,
found it so obvious. Like that kind of ruined it for me. Not ruined, but you know.
Yeah, I actually had one person. I was lucky enough to like not think too hard about it. So, but like someone in the comment section of like the sixth episode or something is like, I'm betting that it's this guy and stuff. And as soon as they even put the idea in my head, I was like, yeah, of course it is. There's no one else it could possibly be. So, um, uh, yeah, I got spoiled on that a little bit later and stuff,
Mhm.
but like I still enjoyed those first
Yeah, I'm
like
someone
eight
who's hyper fixates on
episodes.
that kind of stuff. And like, if I find out, oh yeah, that's obviously the villain, like that's gonna cloud my judgment. I don't know. I still enjoy the show, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a minor thing that kind of annoyed me. I think they could have done a slightly better job of hiding it, but you have to have
yeah,
some foreshadowing. It's like a very hard line to tiptoe. So yeah, I
yeah.
understand.
The interesting thing though is that like a lot of people a lot of the response I got to that video like this is to be expected because I am critiquing a very beloved and what is still a good show, considered a good show by a lot of people. And I've had even when I was making that when I was making that video, I was talking to a lot of people, and a lot of them actually said, "I thought the ending of Erased was overhated. I thought it was fine." And I go, "Yeah, sure, that's valid. That's your opinion and stuff." But there were still a lot of people who liked the show regardless and didn't think it was that bad. And I think that might partly be because of in response to the hate. So
Mhm.
they saw like this huge spike of hate from it, and then they have their expectations set, and then they watch it and think to themselves, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." Um, and so then I come in and I'm critiquing this very really well liked show, and so I got there were a lot of people who were disagreeing with me in the comments and stuff, right? Like that's just kind of what's to be expected. But
Mhm.
a lot of the reasons why people got into it very much seemed like cope. Like these aren't actual story reasons. It just feels like you're kind of trying to make up reasons in your head for why it works and
Yeah,
can't really admit to yourself that the thing was flawed. I mean, you can
right.
still admit to yourself that it's flawed while saying it didn't matter that much to me and I still enjoyed it. But like a
Right.
lot of them just outright refuse to admit that, and they come up with all these justifications in their head for why it worked. And where I'm just going, man, it's really not. I don't think the author really like thought of it like that, or like I don't think most people who watched it even thought of it like that. It's just
Right.
kind of it's an interpretation you came up with in your head for why you think it worked, but it feels like cope. I can't lie, it very
Yeah.
much does seem like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
understand.
and also a lot of people hyperfixated over the Kaio thing, like, oh, my ship didn't come true,
Yeah.
and like I talked about that, and I talked about why that part sucked, but at the same time, that was not the entire video. It was a very small segment as a part of list of bigger points, and yet, like I, most of the comment sections seem to only care about that and go, oh, but the Kaio thing was actually good because of this and this reason. Because it was actually good because, and they're arguing back against points that I didn't make. And I feel like they were points that other people made, whereas I just thought it didn't work because it didn't match up with the setup and stuff like that. It was very much coming out of nowhere and stuff. And then I get people saying, actually, so you're saying that the guy doesn't have to always end up with the girl and stuff, and you're misogynistic for thinking that she should be like a prize to him and stuff. I'm like, bro, I never said anything like that. I would have been perfectly fine if they didn't end up together in the end, so long it was executed in the right way. But the problem was that the execution fell short. And these are the reasons why. And everyone just seemed to ignore that. And I was just like, oh, God, really? It feels like I'm arguing against the brick wall kind of thing.
Yeah, that's sometimes with commenters and people who don't watch people who legit don't watch the video.
Yeah,
Um,
that happens a lot as well. They just don't watch the video. But yeah, sometimes they do watch the video, but they just ignore the thing that I said, which I don't even know what to say anymore. Like I can't say anything. Just you can just ignore my point, I can't really do anything about that. Yeah.
I only understand that a little because a lot of the time when I watch YouTube videos, they're like my background noise. So sometimes I'm actively
Yeah.
listening and sometimes they're just like on. And so I think that happens to a lot of people too with stuff like that
Mm,
where they might
like they're
click
not
on
fully
it
listening to your point and just
exactly.
watching it for entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
I have some basic thoughts slash questions because they we watch a lot of stuff here and it's kind of fun to get recommendations from people. So you already
Okay.
said your favorite shows. This is a two-parter. So the first is, are there any shows that you like really right now feel like you would recommend to people? And the second part is, are there any upcoming shows that you're excited for?
Okay, that is very interesting. Okay, not gonna lie, you guys probably are more familiar with anime than I am because I'm a pretty slow watcher,
Dude, that's
if
not
I'm
the
being
favorite.
honest. But yeah,
Spatulas watch
I'd
like 10 anime, so
I've watched like 9. I'm just kidding.
yeah, I feel like an underrated anime that I would definitely recommend is called Hinamatsuri. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard
I
of
have
it.
watched a little
Vaguely,
bit
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, I really liked Hinamatsuri. It's a really nice comedy anime. About it's a really funny premise about like this girl with superpowers and a yakuza and it's just like their kind of slice of life, their daily life kind of thing, but like and the ridiculous situations they get into, and it introduces more characters and stuff. That's about all I can really say in the premise, but it's a really fun comfy show. In regards to shows that wait a second. I gotta look. I gotta actually look at my
Yeah.
anime list.
Upcoming's a
To
little harder because you have to know what it is. Um, and there's also like basic ones, right? Like there's Konosuba 3, for
mm.
example, upcoming. But then
There's the
there's
super
also
popular ones. Like I'd have to look just quickly. Uh, wait a second.
while you're looking, I think I watched 2 episodes of Hinamatsuri. I liked it. It was in a very busy part of
Not
my
gonna wait.
life.
Not gonna lie. I watched the first episode and I didn't actually get the appeal of it. It was only after like
After you
the
watch a
ending
few.
of the second episode or like the beginning of the third episode or something like that. Where I thought, ow, this show is actually really funny. I really like it. But yeah, like sometimes I sometimes it really does just take like 3 episodes or something for me to get a show. Like I watched the first episode of Licorice Recoil and I didn't really get the appeal. But then I just continued. But like several months later, I continued watching it and went, "Wow, this show is actually really good. I really like it now." So that just happens with some shows. I start the first episode, I never continue it, but then I randomly come back to it later and actually think it's amazing now. Just that just happens.
Yeah, that's I think honestly that's more common than most people really think because a lot of
Yeah.
times people go to watch shows that are already out or have a few episodes out, and
Hmm.
so most like I was rewatching some of the like early parts of Free Run, right?
Hmm.
And one, it depends how you divide it up because the first episode being the first 4 episodes, that like hour and a
I
half
think they
ish,
just released
like
4 episodes.
differentiates
They're
that.
not all
Yeah,
together.
but
It's
either way,
different from something like Oshinoko, which is just like physically all in one episode. So yeah, I'd say
yeah.
it's 4 episodes.
But like the obvious intention there with those 4 episodes is like, hey, we want you to at least watch these 4 episodes before you get an opinion. Because honestly, um, the first 20 minutes of Free Run were just kind of okay, right?
Hmm. I
At
actually
least in
didn't.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Hmm.
I thought they were just kind of like it did a
Yeah, that's
good
fine.
job of
Yeah.
getting me interested, but I could see a lot of people watching that first 20-minute section and just being like, I don't know, it kind of was a nothing burger.
Yeah, and I could see that. Like, it is a very slowly paced type of show, very down to earth, and very like it's more so about like I wouldn't say it's a slice of life, but it's very grounded type of
It
show. There's
has
not a lot
that
of
like
action.
structure almost.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I actually when I was watching, I actually kind of felt the same way about Freerun after watching the first 4 episodes. I thought, wow, the animation's really nice and it's really good. And I'm interested enough in the story to see how it would go and stuff. But like, I've actually only gotten more and more interested as the episodes have gone on and
Yes,
stuff, and
I
more
do
stuff has
agree with
started
that.
happening. Like when Stark was introduced and stuff, and all the things and the demons and stuff and the things that are happening now, I'm like, yeah, I'm really into the show now. But like at the beginning, not I wasn't so much, and I was still willing to keep going. It wasn't bad. I still thought it was good, but I wasn't like into it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's as it goes on so far. I haven't read anything. I've only watched it.
Yeah.
Every episode has made me watch the next episode more than the
Yeah,
last
it's
one.
one of those things where you just get more and more interested the further you go on. And I've had that experience with I've had that experience with quite a few anime as well. Like I could also recommend you guys know Odd Taxi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've watched it.
I'd 100% recommend that. That's also a pretty similar show that where it's just like, man, I'm not sure what it is about it that hooked me from the beginning, but like
Sounds
I
like
just
it.
kept watching because there was just that, curiosity there, and it just kept getting really good. And also for the last one I'd probably recommend is Wolf Children. Do you guys know about that?
Wolf
Ooh,
Children.
I
that's
know
interesting.
of it, but I
I
haven't.
It's
do
a
know
movie.
of it.
Oh,
It's an
okay,
anime
okay.
movie.
Yeah, I've
It
seen like I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Yeah, yeah.
Personally, it is one of my favorite anime movies. It is up there. And it is I mean, technically it might not be for everybody, but I just really like the story that it told and stuff. And it really it's basically about this mother who's trying to raise these children who are werewolves and the kinds of problems that come with that. And there's this kind of subtle tension throughout the whole thing where you don't want them to get found out and for people to find them. And it really does a good job of putting you into the mother's position where you want to protect these kids, you want to make sure that they're safe, but at the same time it's not super tense throughout the whole thing. It's just a kind of subtle worry in the back of your head as you're watching it, where they're going through their daily lives and stuff like that. And it's a really good movie, and the character development is really good. Watching the kids grow up, and yeah, it's just a really great movie. Yeah, so in regards to anime that I would, let me see, seasonal
Yeah, I
anime.
know.
Let's look at,
The second part's a little harder because you have to think about what is going to be coming out.
yeah. Okay, let's look at next season, shall we then? Okay. Oh crap, I don't think I recognize any of these shows. I can always go to the next one. I can always look at the next season after that, because there are some shows that I know that I'd be looking forward to. But for me, usually in most cases, I just hear the types of shows that people are talking about while it's airing and see clips being posted around and think, that looks pretty interesting. I'll give that one a watch. And yeah, I was
So for
actually super
me,
hyped for
yeah,
Freerun before when I was seeing the trailers and stuff, and I wasn't disappointed by it.
but
But
it's
like, it was
different.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing where it's just like I did get more interested in it as it went on and stuff. Oh, okay. Here's one. There's obviously Mushoku Tensei season 2, part 2. Kaiju 8.
Kaiju
That
8
looks.
is one of the ones that I think I'm interested because I know the source material is very well regarded.
Yeah,
And I
same.
don't
I've
know,
heard
I have
people
not
recommend
read
the
it.
manga before, and I'm
I have
just
not
hoping
read it,
that
and
the
I'm
anime
interested.
adaptation. Yeah, same. I'm just hoping that the anime adaptation is also going to be good.
It's good. Yeah.
Um, there's a few ones here. There's this. Okay. To be fair, like in this case, I don't. I have no idea if it's going to be good. It's since it is a romance anime, it's very likely to be mid. But Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. I did actually happen to check out the manga for that one and read a couple chapters of that, so I will be curious for that one as well.
Yeah. So
And
one of my closest friends read through the entirety of that in like a week.
I only read through a few chapters, and that was about it.
That's fair. So this is another one. I don't know much, but when it comes to romance series,
Hmm.
my buddy Mars, when he has a recommendation for a romance series, I at least listen. That's
Mm.
the way I think about it. Where I'm like, okay, maybe it won't work for me as well. It works for him, but generally, to me, he has good takes.
Mm.
So usually, so I'm like, okay, if you really like this one, I will
So
put
you'll
that
keep
on
an
my
eye out for
planning.
that one. Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think it, like, from what I've read, it doesn't do anything special. Like, that's mind blowing. Like, oh my gosh, this is totally different from every other romance anime. But it does. But it was decent. Like, it wasn't bad. From what I did read. I don't know. I have no idea what the anime is going to be like though, because it could be a totally different story.
Oh yeah.
Eurocamp season 3. I need like it. I haven't watched Eurocamp, but I am actually like considering starting it at some point. Same thing with Hibiki Euphonium 3, which is also there. Which I have been meaning to watch from the start, but I haven't yet.
Please
Just
watch that.
finished season 2
I
myself
I
recently.
I'm a big Hibiki fan, so
Yeah. I know I'm gonna probably enjoy Hibiki because like it's made by Kyoto Animation and stuff, and I've really liked pretty much everything that Kyoto Animation has put out, and so yeah, and it just seems like the type of show that I enjoy as well. Um, there's also yeah, obviously Konosuba season 3, which I am super like. I not gonna lie, I am slightly worried about it though. After the spin-off anime that just came out, part of me is hoping like that it's going to capture the same charm as the original first 2 seasons and movie. But I don't know yet because it is a different Studio Drive now, but it does have the same people working on it, I suppose. So really
oh,
it's
that's
anyone's
interesting.
guess. I honestly can't tell. I have my expectations tempered. It's lowered. And I'm just going to keep an open mind to it. I'm still going to watch it because I've already read through the light novels, but I'm just yeah, hoping that's going to be good. Uh there's also Oshinoko season 2, which I am 100% checking out.
Yep.
Especially after like reading the manga and stuff, I'm pretty up to date with it. Uzumaki seems interesting as well. Like that's like a very famous horror manga, and it seems from the animation from the trailer for that, it seems to be adapting it super faithfully, but we'll have to see. But I'm gonna keep an eye on that. So yeah, I think those are the ones that I'm going to be like keeping my eye out for in regards to upcoming anime.
Okay, good list. I think that covers a lot of the stuff, honestly, that I
Hmm.
have like early eyes on. I mean,
Oh, there's a Naruto
um,
reboot. I forgot about that.
there is.
I don't even know how that'd work. Like, they're just doing. It's a
I
new
think they're
anime
just
project in
reanimating
celebration for
episodes.
Yeah,
Naruto's
it is.
20th anniversary. Oh, okay, so they're just reanimating the episodes.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so it might be like a fight or something that gets reanimated. I don't know.
Yeah. Daniel and I did get to see the first episode of Dungeon Meshi, which Delicious in Dungeon. That'll be
Okay.
coming out in the next season.
Yeah,
That's
it's winter.
January. Perfect.
Okay.
Um, I liked the first episode. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, obviously we were
I couldn't
in
read
an
the
exhibit
subtitles
hall,
where I was sitting.
like trying our best to read the subtitles because we had
Oh.
there's this dude in front of us. One, we were directly behind the camera. Oops. So automatically middle screen's out of the question. And at one side there's big afro dude, and the other side
I
there's
feel
just
like
a ton of
that'd
people.
yeah, that's
So
gonna not help with
yeah,
enjoyment of it.
we got the gist of it, but it was definitely a challenge to read the subtitles.
Yeah.
But we did get to see
That's
episode
pretty
1 of that.
important though. Yeah, that's pretty important though, because like you could go home and watch it when it actually comes out and go, oh my god, this is completely different because of what they're actually saying.
That is 100% possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it because like I was just getting like half of it, and then I'm like I don't want to like move around too much for the people behind me, and then I'm not tall enough to
Dude,
see
this is
over
like a
them.
really, really random story. It's nothing to do with anime, but you reminded me of it. Uh,
What?
no, this is a really, really
Yeah,
random
yeah.
story. You were talking
Okay.
about people covering, like, blocking your view. My
Yep.
Yeah.
first concert ever was Muse, the British
Yep.
band.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
back when I was, I think, like 14 or 15 or something. I went with like a friend, and this guy in front of me, he was like blocking my way. Like he was like a lot taller than me because I wasn't fully grown back then. And so I tapped him on the shoulder and asked him to like,
Yeah.
can you move? And he just gave me the middle finger, and I was like so shocked, especially like a kid back then. So I was
Man,
just like,
Hey,
oh
can
wow,
you
so
move?
he was blocking my way, blocking
when
my
he
view.
said Muse, I definitely did not think of the Love Live group. Nope,
I
no sir,
immediately
not
thought of the
me.
Love Live group. I'm so front
Nope,
runner.
definitely, definitely
It's
was
a
not
boomer
the
thing, but
first.
or
I just had to share that because I thought it was funny.
Mm.
Because of course that's the first direction my brain goes.
yeah, I mean it's fine. Yeah.
That's
Um,
fine. Yeah.
there's also
Oh yeah, wait. I was about to say because like it makes that just makes me imagine what it would, what opinion would I have on a show like 100 Girlfriends if I just didn't read any of the subtitles? Like I'd probably assume, I'd probably have a completely different assumption about it. I'd probably just assume that it's this generic harem rom-com that does everything exactly the same as everything else. And it's possible. I just have to think about that. And after actually reading the subtitles and stuff and
to
knowing
be
what the
fair,
actual stuff is
it
happening,
it almost does everything the same as everything else. It just dials it
yeah,
to
it just dials it up.
100%. So
How
it's
many
like,
episodes behind are you?
And the dialogue. Oh, right now I'm up to date with
Oh,
the
I haven't.
newest
I don't know.
episode.
I should have been more specific. PK, how many episodes are behind you?
I think 2.
Yeah, no, you're not ready for. We're far beyond the
I
realms of
still
Yeah.
that.
I still have not met. I think next episode I meet the redhead.
Yeah, she. This
Put
is
Yeah.
like,
context.
if you could watch
I've
up
seen
to
you
now
post
and think it's
screenshots.
generic,
Yeah,
but like at this point, we're beyond anything.
well past that. That's
Yeah,
also fair.
the
Um,
reality is taken. I mean, what little reality there was is taken a sidestep for Drug Girl.
bro, I wish they had early showed 100 Girlfriends at AX. That I feel like that would have been a really funny one to watch it.
It'd been
Yeah, that
interesting in a
from the
With
real
first
all the
way.
people.
episode, I instantly knew it's like, oh man, this is actually really funny. This is gonna be different. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as God just pops out there and he's just like screaming and breaking the fourth wall and stuff, I'm just like, yep, this show is different. I mean, it's not like it's still a harem anime and it still does all the
Yeah.
tropes and stuff, but like
It does it in a
it
way that
does it like
still
yeah,
somehow
the
fresh.
execution is slightly different. It feels fresh, you know. I mean, yeah, it's a fun show. Yeah.
Actually, I'm really excited for a lot of things in winter, honestly, but a lot of it's like, I guess more niche. Like Tomozaki season 2 is gonna be gas, unless they fuck it up. But I have faith they won't fuck it up. And I just recently went through Madoka and the movie, and so even though
Oh man, I
I
gotta
guess
watch Madoka.
we won't get
I
the
also
movie
need to watch
actually in
Madoka.
winter, and we have to wait like the 6
Oh,
months
oh,
or whatever
oh! Another
bullshit.
another
I'm pretty
one that
excited
I'm
though.
gonna be checking out is the Spice and Wolf remake.
Yeah, I need to watch
Yeah,
the. I want to watch the
it's
original. But
I
I've
haven't.
never watched the original either, so
Yeah, neither have I. So like, this is actually a good opportunity to either check out the original or keep up to date with the new one. Whatever it is, it seems like they're doing a similar situation to Fruits Basket, where they're going to do it again from the start and adapt it until the end of the light novels. So compared to the older anime, which isn't a complete adaptation. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be watching that.
there's no way there's another Card Fight Vanguard anime this season.
yeah, sorry, it says the Love Live fan as if there's a new like idol anime every 5 minutes.
Wait a minute.
Oh wait, no, this does make sense because when I was at the Bushy Road thing, they were like, "Yeah, we have like 10 seasons planned ahead of time," and they like showed us the schedule. Never mind, that actually does make sense because I knew already that was gonna happen. Um, Ignore me.
Yeah. Winter
What
actually
else
is
next
pretty like
season?
devoid
Blue
of
Exorcist.
like really big titles.
So this, if this is the arc I remembered is, this should be a really good Blue Exorcist season. The problem is, I think in the year 2023, nobody cares about Blue Exorcist anymore. Understandable, honestly.
Hmm.
Because it was what 2011 that the first show came out, and then half of the show is anime original ending shit, and then they made Kyoto Saga in 2017. It just said, "Hey, ignore the last 9 episodes of the show. We're continuing this shit." Kyoto Saga is a good arc, but it's just, this is now another 6 years since that. I don't know how many people still are invested in Blue Exorcist, but this should
Hmm.
be a good season.
Yeah, I'm just looking at through some of these titles and stuff, and I'm just wondering. Part of me feels like some of these isekai titles are AI generated or something. Because I see
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like, oh my god, is that like a second season of Isekai Cheat Magician or something? No, it's my instant death ability is so overpowered, no one in this other world stands a chance against me.
dude,
I'm just like,
there's some of the titles are insane, dude.
no, some of the titles
There's
is just like, they sound exactly the same. How do you
They
have a
are,
title that long and it's still
and it's
exactly the same?
there's
You
always like a
have like
Japanese
50
nickname
words.
too. There's a Japanese nickname like that's like 4 syllables long, but like the English
yeah.
translation or whatever, it's always like 10 words. Like
It's okay because we also have villainous level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the
you
demon lord.
maybe, maybe is crazy. I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I feel like it's important for some seasons. Like, okay, for me personally, I like it when some seasons have have just don't have any anime in it that I'm interested in, because that gives me an opportunity to catch up on some of the older shows I've been meaning to watching. Sometimes I like, because like sometimes like I've had certain seasons where like there's just absolutely stacked. They're like all these different shows that are all great, and so I'm watching several different shows that I'm interested in, but now I'm like, I'm also not watching any of those shows that I've got in my backlog that I've been meaning to watch that I still haven't gotten around to yet. So yeah, yeah. Imagine having shows to catch up on. I'm still on catch up mode, guys. I still got all these people going. Wait, you haven't seen this, Brandon? You need to watch Clannad. You haven't seen that yet.
You do
Brandon,
need
I
to
can't
watch
believe you
Clannad.
haven't watched. I know.
Bro,
We'll have
I
that.
Just
get
this
this from
ever
people.
growing watch later list. It just
Yeah, I get this from people at, well, to be fair, mine's worse. Because mine's not, oh, you need to watch the show. Mine is, oh, you watched 3 episodes of the show and just haven't continued, but you insist on saying that you're not
oh
dropping
man.
it and will continue at some point.
Nah,
My
that's too
my list
relatable.
my list is disgusting. There's so many like 2 out of 12, 3 out of 12, 5 out of 12.
Man, I
Uh,
get that.
You can dabble a little bit of everywhere, a little bit in everywhere. Yeah.
I had the
It's like,
boy
no,
who
it
could
wasn't
finish
bad.
it at
I
12 out of
enjoyed
13.
it. I intend to finish it someday. It's just
it's
not
just not
yet.
today.
So not
I
now.
still I watched the first watched the first episode of Cowboy Bebop and went, "Wow, that was really good." And I haven't watched any more since. I don't know why. I just never did.
I sat down like a month and a half ago and was like, I'm finishing Madoka this week. And I watched one single episode, got distracted by sending messages in Discord to Daniel about it, and still have only watched one episode. It's been like a month.
And yeah, it's such a weird thing because it's like maybe it's because of how many options there are. We've gotten so overwhelmed by like, we've been spoiled with choices.
Hmm.
So, like now it's like, yeah,
Well, and it's
it'd be
also like,
different if we only had like just a
yeah,
very few, like because there's more and more anime coming out every single season. Like this is just a thing that's happening because like you could ask people and it's like you go back many years and you go back and see how many anime is coming out that season and it's like way less and it's like wow, look how much we're getting now. So yeah, we've kind of been spoiled for choice here.
well, and it's also like, um, and I think this applies to a lot of people because of the pandemic being like when a lot of people really started watching a lot of things.
Yeah, that
Or in
too.
my case, like starting a lot of things, getting into watching habits, and then now it's like I have a job, and it's social life and stuff like that, and so it's I would like to watch these things, but I've just started way too many things and gotten too into the
Yeah.
habit of like, oh, if I'm minorly interested in something, like, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
You look at like every season, I have like a plan list, and I'm like, half of these shows I will never start and will eventually just take off of the
Yeah.
plan list.
Oh, this one looks interesting. This one looks interesting. But it's like, okay, yeah, similar for me. I have there's usually, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of shows here that sound interesting to me, but I don't actually watch it because like sometimes they do just turn out to be mid and nobody really like cares about it when it's finished. Like for example, like Mashal was coming out like a couple seasons ago, I think, and I remember people recommending the manga and thinking, "Wow, this is going to be super interesting, super great and stuff." And then the anime itself came out, and then I heard like a couple people talk about it, and then just nobody really cared. And I saw some clips from it, and it just seemed kind of like okay-ish,
Yeah.
and then I never watched it. So, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it was all right. It has a second core coming up in next season, I think actually.
I
So
mean, I feel like that's just the situation with a lot of anime adaptations. They're going to just be all right, and you're not going to know which ones are the truly great ones and just the yeah, that was all right ones, and until the anime itself actually comes out and you see what people think of it. Like
yeah,
It's also like
it took
okay for it to just be all right.
yeah. I mean, like the shows like Odd Taxi, nobody really hyped it up. That was like wait, before it came out. Like that was a sleeper hit where it's like, it's like the episodes are continuing that season and stuff. And then near the end, every once in a while, I hear people bring up this show called Odd Taxi and stuff. I have no idea what it's about, but I just ignore it. And then near the end and stuff, people are suddenly going, "Hey, this Odd Taxi show, it's actually really good." And I think to myself, "Huh, I wonder what that's all about." And then I hear more people recommend it after that season's finished, and then I go, "Hey, that actually looks really interesting," and then I go back and watch it. And I feel like that was the experience for a lot of people who got into Odd Taxi. They weren't necessarily watching it from the start, at least from what it seems like for me. It was, yeah. Similar kind of thing actually happened with Bocchi the Rock and stuff, I think. Like,
Mm.
I only heard about people recommending it after several episodes where people realized, hey, this show is actually really good. Compared to something like huge, like Oshinoko, where there was a ton of hype behind it, or like something like, Chainsaw Man and stuff, where it's just a ton of hype. Everyone, like, of course, I'm going to watch it and stuff. Yeah.
The evolution of Bochi the Rock on this podcast has been very fun because
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fire.
we tend
I
to
have no
do
context.
an episode usually before the season starts of like, oh, let's look at everything that's coming out next season, what's interesting, like this, but at
Hmm.
a bigger level. Like we look at like the entire list
Yeah, like
because
actually
we'll
looking
know
at the list.
everything that's coming out. And
Hmm.
I remember us talking about Bochi the Rock and just being like, I have no idea what this is, but it's fan show. People say it's like, I think the thing that Daniel had said was like, "Oh, I've heard it's almost like darker Kaon," which
Darker Chaos.
I heard
Darker
depressing
Chaon is
Kaon,
one
which
way
is
to put it.
definitely
I don't
not.
know.
yeah, depressing Kaon,
I
which is not
Depressing Chaos.
I think people
really
That
said
is
that
the
because of
actual.
the visual was like
Yeah,
Bochi in her closet was like the first visual release.
Oh,
but
so
we just
people
had
just assumed it was gonna be dark based
exactly,
on that.
Yeah, it was like, damn, that
exactly.
looks
Man.
sad as shit. And I'm like, all right, I'll put that on my planet. And then
We
eventually it
just
came
had
out.
this like
I mean,
one-off conversation, and obviously it comes out, and because we're talking about it there, and eventually we get to the conclusion, we're like, oh yeah, we'll watch it.
hmm,
Because I enjoy music anime a lot,
yeah,
and Daniel enjoys anime, so we were like, oh, we'll watch it, and then obviously it evolves over time, and it's like, oh, this shit's gas. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely blew up like far
Yeah.
beyond anything I ever would have thought. Like I enjoyed it a lot after the first few episodes, and then we
Mm.
get to like I feel like episode 4 is like when it really started to
Yeah.
pop, and then episode 5 they have like their first performance. It was just nonstop.
Oh,
from there.
for me personally, I was already like, dang, this show's amazing from episode 1, and it was purely because I really liked the directing behind it. Like
Yes.
I
Yeah,
felt like
it's
the
very well
person who
directed.
made this, it was well directed and all that stuff. And I just love, and as a person who's interested in direction and stuff like that, I just saw that and thought the show's a banger instant after the first episode immediately. And I was already interested in watching the rest of it. But yeah, like obviously things change as they go along and stuff, and they actually do the performances, and it's like,
Yep.
wow, that's really well done and stuff. So yeah.
I think it was the same for us as well. But obviously, like it being what it is now was never. No one expected that. Not
Yeah.
even even the director being the person who has the most faith in this project and putting as much like care into
Wasn't
it as possible
expecting it.
certainly
Yeah.
did not expect this probably to be the big break that it has become, right?
Yeah.
For him, because
I
this
think
was
it's because it.
first directing
Wow.
first like
Yeah.
full directing job.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
He
think
had
it's
done a lot
because
of
it resonated a lot with people online because it
Mhm.
knew its target audience, and it also because of how it's made, because of how like how a lot of the situations are just very one off and stuff because it was based on a slice of life manga and stuff. It makes it very easy to just share random clips from the show around, which is what
Yep.
people did, and you just see random clips and stuff like, dang, this show looks crazy, I'm gonna give it a shot. And it makes for good advertising when you got that. Like you
I
don't
agree.
need like a ton of setup behind it to get why Bochi glitching out on the floor is crazy. You just see that and think, dang, that's crazy. I might check out the show.
And what's really interesting about that is it's almost like perfectly made for this era of
Yeah.
media, right? Where
It feels
everyone
like very modern humor as well. Like it
yeah.
feels like it's in
Yeah. Oh,
touch.
yeah. That's true. That's 100%.
Yeah, because like sometimes you see people make certain jokes it's like that sounds like that feels like an older style joke, or then it was made by like someone who doesn't really get it. When you see Bochi, you feel like yeah, they get it. They understand what humor is like today generally, and that's part of the reason why it was so refreshing to me because it's like you don't really get that super often, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. All right. We are. I think by the time I finish this outro, I'm gonna say we're probably gonna beat. Actually, no. Was that 2 hours 10 minutes?
Close to
No,
2
Or
hours,
like
right?
what?
I think we're like at 2 hours right now,
Well,
right?
we're a little
Oh
over two
dang,
hours. However,
that flew by quick.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I don't think this beats our longest. I think our longest was two
No, no, no.
hours
I think
ten.
we were like 2+. Was it the awards?
It
Was
was
that
the
the one?
yeah. Hold on, let me go find it. Fuck, we have too many episodes. Holy
We're
shit! When did this
probably gonna
happen?
get to do that again pretty soon. Ooh,
Oh, yeah. That is true.
Oh
that
yeah.
is true.
Fuck.
Season's coming up.
Where is it? Okay, let's reacting to the awards. 2 hours 8 minutes is our longest episode, so you're not g's gonna get there. You
We
did,
can
however.
stretch.
We could, but I'm tired and I'm ending this shit. Yeah.
I'm half asleep.
Um.
Sleep.
Yeah, you did, however, win second longest episode, beating out one of our guests, Psyculturist. He almost made it to the 2 hour mark.
Let's go.
Oh dang.
Yes. However, we'll be ending it there. Thank you very much for coming on. Um, I only,
Yeah,
I
thank
only
you.
like
That was
just
fun.
recently met. Like I just like, all right, I'm gonna start using my Twitter, and then all of a sudden now I have a lot more people like
We're
contactable than I
following.
ever would have expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very, very great to get another content creator.
Very
on. It's been a
entertaining.
while. Yeah, it's good to have guests on. It's been
Yeah. And it's good to connect with people and stuff in general as well. It's what I've yeah.
it brings a breath of fresh air. Lets us save topics for the next episode.
True.
Yeah, but yeah, that was the 82nd episode of the Gochuucast. Where can they find you, Brandon? The like two people watching this.
Just
don't worry.
Brandon Art Talks. Just search me up on YouTube. I don't know. Put my link in the description.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
Brandon Talks. That's my channel. You'll find it fairly easily if you search it up.
But yeah, that'll be the end of this episode here. If you enjoyed, then hit the like button or rate 5 stars, whatever platform you're on. If you're on the YouTube side of things and you'd like go to the audio only, Is the Order an Anime podcast? You can't possibly miss it on whatever platform you're on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Same with the YouTube, from audio only side of things. Is the Order an Anime podcast? Can't possibly miss it. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST without fail, except for when we do, there will be an episode out for you to enjoy. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you in another episode. Thank you, and goodbye.